Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Okay, so let's talk about energy and how you create your reality using energy, even if you're not conscious of it. Your emotions create your reality. Now, I'm going to give you a real-life experience to prove this to you, okay? So this isn't just a cool phrase to put out there and say. No, I'm telling you, everything is energy. Everything is energetic. You affect everybody that comes into your life, that comes within 10, 15 feet of you, maybe even 40 feet. You affect everyone energetically, and that is the key to creating your life in the way that you want to. Now, let me give you some examples. So here's the deal. There are TV shows and movies that are actually trying to teach us something, and a lot of people think it's just science fiction. It's not science fiction at all. Alright, so earlier today I just happened to be on YouTube and an old video that came up from Star Trek. Alright, so I think this one was called I forget what it's called, but it's the follow-up for Star Trek, the new something, I can't remember it. Hold on. Yeah, the next Star Trek, The Next Generation. This is season 5, episode 11. The title is Captain Drop the Shields, Lieutenant Commander Data, okay? So here's what happens. It's a real quick video. It opens up with like this, they're looking on the screen out in space, and there's this huge, big, energetic, like round thing coming at them. And they put their shields up, and boom, it hits the shield, and Lieutenant LaForge is like, well, that's really weird, that should have stopped that. So the captain goes, increase the shields, increase the strength of the shields, or the power of the shields, and Lieutenant LaForge goes, aye, aye, Captain. And he does, he increases it some more, and then boom, it hits it even more powerful. And Lieutenant Ford says something like, wow, that doesn't make any sense, that should have stopped it. And then there's a kid on board in a Star Trek uniform, and why he's there, I don't know. Well, I do kind of, because he says, that's what happened to us. They kept saying increase the power to the shields. And so Captain Jean-Luc Picard says something like double or triple the power to the shields. And Lieutenant Forge goes, yes, sir, aye, aye, Captain, or something like that. And then boom, it hits it even harder. And Lieutenant Forge was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. I should have stopped it. And the kid again goes, yeah, that's what they kept saying. And so then Data grabs the kid, goes, hey, come with me, please. And they do all this analytical stuff through the computer. And Data figures out the more they increase the energy to the shields, the more powerful that thing out there becomes. And it hits them even more powerfully and causes more damage. So he tells the captain to drop the shields, to lower the shields. And then the first captain guy, what is his name? I can't remember his name. The younger guy, he goes, that's insane, that's suicide. And then again, Data goes, Captain, he goes, lower the shields right now. You've got 15 seconds. And the captain thinks about it and goes, he goes, make it so. And then Lieutenant Worf, he's the one who shuts it down. And they shut it down just before it got to them, and there was no boom at all. There was like a little bit of energy that kind of went through. Your energy absolutely creates your reality. Okay, I'm going to skip to the good stuff right away. So the first time that I was really conscious of this was when I was coming out of a gym. I was all fired up. I think I'd done I don't think I was doing energy drinks back then, but I was doing some kind of caffeine or something. I forget what it was, maybe coffee, I don't know. But I was fired up and I had an awesome workout, and I came out just linear and focused. And there's something I kept hearing at all these energy healing and personal development courses. They're like, look, your energy creates your reality. Well, that's a very vague and abstract thing. I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? So at this point in my development, I was really working on internal awareness. This was probably the second year of this, okay? And so when you're in the external brain, the linear left brain, you create like this pyramid. Your two pupils come together at a point out in front of your face, anywhere from, 1 inch to 5 or 6 or 12 inches or whatever, okay? And this is like the closed door. It's concentrated energy. It's also the left brain is, or the male energy is called the push energy, right? Well, one thing about me is I couldn't figure out why so many people, they were very aggressive towards me, and I didn't understand what was going on for years. Like, I was the nicest guy. I tried to be nice to everybody, and I couldn't figure out what it was until this day. So I was working on being internal as I was walking out the doors, doing my deep breathing, etc. And this guy comes around the corner, but he didn't see me. I saw him first, and I could tell this dude was jacked up on energy drinks, which makes you very left brain, very linear, very push energy, very laser beam focus. And he came around and he looked at me, and I noticed my energy came together on my forehead like his did. And I went, oh shit. He's going to get pissed off. And then what I did, I instantly did the internal awareness. I reversed that tip into an open funnel down inside my body. And it's like he kind of was leaning forward, and he almost fell forward onto the ground. And all of a sudden he smiled at me. So he was coming around the corner, and not only was he like male energy, he was pissed, he was aggressive, he was just like, and when he first looked at me, he was trying to do that male like domination and challenge thing, like a fight, okay? And I was like, oh shit, this is going to end up in a fight. And when I did this internal awareness, what it does is, when he was walking around like that, every single person he looks at, boom, it sucks them into that push energy. It's the same thing that men do when they go on a date with women. They're very left brain, very logical, they're in the forehead. And all right, I'm going to read off what Jules said. So Jules said, this was a few days ago, actually one day ago, that laser beam the laser beam thing feels like the man is trying to control you with his mind, but fails miserably. So guys, women are very, very aware of this, okay? So here's what happens. When you're in that very focused energy, you pull people into that, and that's combat. That's battle positions. So what was happening with me, I would get sucked into other people's energy, okay? And next thing you know, I'm pissed off, and I don't even know why I'm pissed off. This guy's pissed off at me. I'm like, what's he mad at me for? What the fuck's going on? And so what happens is this is something that most men are not aware of at all. So essentially, one guy is trying to get the other guy to submit, and if the other guy isn't submissive, there's going to be a fight. And that's why because I never backed down to anyone. I was a fighter my whole life, boxing, kickboxing, blah, 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 and that wasn't a good thing to do to me at all. Okay, so you know when those, a lot of businesses will do it, they'll take their workers, their team, and they'll do like team building exercises. They usually take them to like a gym or out in the forest, and they have like this trainer who does these, trust exercises. And one of them is where you put your hands together, palm to palm, and you raise them up above your head, and then you scoot your feet out as far as you can go. And as long as you're pushing on each other, you both get to stay up. But if one of them lets go, the other one falls down. In fact, you both fall down. So energetically, that's what I did to this guy. When he pushed on my forehead with his energy, I just inverted that pyramid, and I inverted it inside, which kind of like made it into a Y or a funnel going down inside. So his energy pushed through me, and he had nothing to stabilize himself. There was no resisting energy. So he literally, I'm telling you, physically, he stumbled forward. His body fell forward, and he lifted his leg real fast to catch himself, and he started to smile, because when I went internal, I just kind of relaxed my face and my head, and I had a very peaceful look, and he just started smiling, and he looked at me, hey, how's it going? Hey, my name's so-and-so, and you could tell he kind of had this confused look on his face, like, wait, what's going on here? I was totally in this pissy mood. So he had no idea what happened. Now, ladies, you can verify that men do this laser beam thing. They push it on your head and your eye, like right eye to right eye, and it gives you, sometimes it'll give you an eye headache or a forehead headache. So you can physically feel the energy. Now, here's the deal. When men are closed, they can't feel anything, and that's the way most modern males walk around. They're like, what are you talking about? You can't feel someone looking at you. Oh, yes, you can, if you're open. Because when you're open, you're more tuned into your five senses. And that brings up the next section. If you live by the sword, you will die by the sword. That's something that Jesus taught. Now I'm going to explain it. So I had been taking quite a few courses from Tony Robbins to energy healing and all these personal development courses that talked about all of this stuff, and I just had faith and I wanted to learn, but it wasn't until I had that physical experience. And the only reason I had that physical experience with that guy at the gym was because someone had taught me internal awareness. If someone hadn't taught me this, then it would have been a philosophical, logical understanding that didn't impact me in a way that I can begin to shift my experiences in the world. And yes, this is one of the main things I teach in my internal awareness course. I either call it the internal awareness course or the emotionally grounding course. Okay, it's the same thing. So I'm going to call it internal awareness from now on. See, there's a lot of things you hear from spiritual teachers or energy healers or whatever, and you're like, oh, well, that sounds nice. I don't want it to sound nice. I don't want it to be something that is a good philosophy. I want it to be something that you physically experience, because from physically experiencing something is how you know. That's why it's imperative to come to the course, or you can do one-on-one coaching with me. So this is an image of guitar strings, okay? Just in case you didn't quite figure it out. So I remember during one of our courses, I think it was a 5-week NLP course, neuro-linguistic programming course, and they say, look, they'd say, hey, has anyone here played the guitar? Well, at that point, I've been playing the guitar, I think for like 7 or 8 years. I was taking classical guitar lessons when I was going to Arizona State. So I raised my hand, and a couple other people did. They said, like, have you ever noticed when you tune a guitar that you have to go back and tune the other strings? Because once you tighten up one string, then the other string has to be tightened up a little bit more, etc., etc. So it's not like you just tighten up one string and tune it, and boom, it's done. Because as you tighten the other strings, it begins to shift the tension from the other ones. I was like, yeah, that's true. So the more important part is, when you strum just one of the strings, it vibrates all the other strings. So each string affects each string. They all affect each other. This is why you need to literally tune the guitar in. So I remember when they were teaching this to us, it really went over my head. I'm just like, well, what are they? I didn't get it. Like, what are they trying to say? Well, it stuck in my head, and I learned more stuff about energy and about particles and electrons and atoms and how. So essentially, like, okay, so what's vibrating? What's vibrating is atoms and electrons, particles. Everything is vibrating, and see, when you have a vibration over here, it's going to affect all the atoms and electrons and particles that are next to it, that are close to it, that it reaches. Everything affects everything, literally. So when I shifted my energy internal, he had no wall to push on, and boom, he literally, his forehead kind of fell forward, his upper body, and he had to lift up his right leg really quick and step forward. Otherwise, he would have fell forward and fell on the ground. And what happened was, I had this just wow, aha! I was like, wow, like, I saw his physical body fall forward because I let go of the energy, and it's exactly when Bruce Lee says, "Don't be a wall," because you can hit a wall. He says, "Be like fog," because you can't hit the fog. You can punch through it, but you can't hit it. And that's exactly what I did to this person. Live by the sword, you die by the sword. Now, this is an image of particles, or at least, I think someone's probably art drawing of particles. So I remember on television on the Science Channel, there was this coil. Now, I also learned this in science class in high school. And they had this coil of, I don't know, it was copper or some kind, I think it was copper wire, but who knows, some kind of wire. And I think they said, because it was in a circle, like a big coil, circle, and it went up, and then it went around and made a U-turn. And I think they said it was about 1 mile long or 2 miles. It was a really long, like, wound up coil. And what they said that science couldn't understand is the minute you hit electricity on this end, it instantly hits the other end. There's no time delay. And they couldn't figure that out. So so it was simultaneous, and I don't mean a millionth, a trillionth of a second. No, it was simultaneously, and they're like, yeah, we don't quite understand, because there's no time for it to travel through the wire, through the cord. It's just instant. So when we were talking about physics during an NLP training, they were saying the same thing with particles. Like, you could have a particle 2 or 3 universes away, like actual universes away. And if this particle is connected to that particle, the minute this particle feels something, moves, changes, gets hot, cold, the other one instantly, and I mean instantly, has the same experience. So that really got my brain going. I was like, okay, now this is getting very, very interesting, because they were really trying to help us understand how humans interact, how we interact with nature, how we interact with everything, with animals, with food, with everything, including our health. Your emotions, your thoughts, the images you make in your mind affect everybody that interacts with you. Period. So when Lieutenant Data told the captain to let the shields down, because they kept putting, at the very end, he said take all the power from some other part of the ship and put it into the shields, and Lieutenant Forge was like, yes sir, and Lieutenant Data's like, no, drop the shields now, like, in other words, let go of the power. And at the very last second, the captain goes, okay, make it so. And then Lieutenant Forge dropped the shields, and they're expecting this thing to completely destroy them and kill them, and nothing happened. Just a little bit of a wave energy went through. If you live by the sword, you will die by the sword. So as I'm on this journey of working with Buddhist monks and meditating and becoming more and more internal, opening up to my right brain and learning the art of letting go. And again, that's what that class is about. It's teaching you techniques that you can practice, and you will get really, really good at letting go. It literally is an art. It's one thing to tell someone to let go. It's another thing to tell them and teach them how to let go. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your images, everything you do creates energy, and these particles affect the people that you're talking to on the phone. They affect the people that walk by you on the sidewalk. They affect the people that you're in relationships with. We affect other people and vice versa. What most women don't realize is that at a very young age, when boys, 6th grades, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, we approach girls, we try to talk to them, and girls begin to shift through this period of time. And girls will get mad because he's in his logical brain and she's open and emotional, she's feeling good, she's feeling emotionally grounded, and he comes in and he says something in a very logical way, and she's like, get away from me, you're weird, and it hurts their feeling. Hurts the boys' feelings. So here's what ends up happening. Over having this go on, 10 years, 15 years, whatever, men, boys, teenagers begin to start closing up, especially in their 20s. They start closing up, and so here's what I noticed during my training when I work with men. I noticed that most men are very, very, especially once they get past the age of about 22, they become very logical. So what I realized what they were doing is they were hiding behind their logic from their emotions. So this was a technique that men learn to do because the left brain is our home. It's very comfortable for us to go into our logic. We're born this way. So we're like, yeah, screw that. I don't want to feel hurt emotions, so I'm just going to hide in my logical left brain. So essentially men hide behind their logic from dealing with emotions, and thus they don't get very good at dealing with emotions or connecting with other people on an emotional level. And yes, this does cause a lot of problems between men and women. And yes, in my course, Crack the Female Code, we address this and teach men how to open up. Now watch this. You've all heard the phrase, the friend zone, right? So here's what happens. Men are like, oh man, I got put in the friend zone. Well, he actually did it to himself, and here's what happens. Human beings have this thing inside that is a rapport building machine. Okay, we gain rapport with each other, so we become like each other if we spend time around each other. So what men are doing is the absolute worst possible thing, especially if you want to approach a woman, meet a woman, ask a woman out, get her number. So what do? They hide behind their logic. So now they're in their logical brain. Well, in order for a woman to feel romantic with you, you have to be in your right brain, because that's the relationship social brain, that's the romantic brain, and that's the romantic language. So what he did was he hid behind his logic. Thus, after about 3 to 5 minutes of her talking to him on an unconscious level, she's going to have to shift over to her logical brain, which just disconnected her from her mating system, because her mating system is connected to her right brain's communication center. So now he literally just turned her off, and the left brain is the in the box brain. He literally just put himself in the friend zone, or the friends box. Alright, here's the message. Wherever you are energetically, the other person you're interacting with is going to go to that same place eventually, if not instantly. If you're still with me, stick with me, because the good stuff is coming, okay? So a long time ago, I think I was about 19, 20, 21 years old. I don't remember. My sister convinced me to go talk to her therapist. I'm like, why? She goes, oh, just talk to her. Blah, blah. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. So I went and did a session. And she brought something up that was very, very interesting. So she said, I forget how we got around to it, but she asked me a question. She goes, Michael, has your mother ever, how does she say this? She says, has there ever been a time in your family's life where she had a good job, plenty of money, the bills were paid, all you guys were getting good grades in school, everybody, all the kids were healthy, and everything was going good and was peaceful? I'm like, well, yeah, of course. And she goes, and then what happened? And when I looked at her, I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, just think about it. Everything is peaceful, and then what would happen? And I looked at her and go, oh. Eventually, like after a few days or a few weeks, my mom would start flipping out. She'd start finding reasons to yell and to scream. And you know, she would always just, no matter how good things were, she would just ruin it. Now, she said something that made a lot of sense to me. She had said, how did she say this? She had said, here's why. So she goes, even though your mother doesn't like chaos, and when things are bad and she's worried about the bills or worried about the kids or whatever, when things get peaceful, after a few weeks, she's not going to feel comfortable, because she's not used to life being that way. She was raised in a very violent, very chaotic, life. I'm like, yeah. And she goes, hasn't that essentially the way? I go, yeah, that's the way my life's been. I go, it's always like that. And so she goes, yeah. She goes, the reason why she does that, it's not that she doesn't like peace or prosperity. And she said, it's because she's not comfortable in it, because she doesn't know how to deal with it. In other words, she said, she's really comfortable. It's not necessarily that she likes the chaos and bad times, but she knows how to deal. She has strategies. She has ways of looking at things and ways of dealing with things. So when everything's really good, she literally goes, well, how do I deal with this? She has no tools. She has no strategy. She literally doesn't know how to function inside a peaceful environment. So here's what a lot of people do. They hold on to the fear. Even though they don't like fear, they don't like chaotic environments, they hold on to the fear. And it's exactly like a man when he's hiding behind his logic, because he's hiding from getting hurt emotionally. So instead, he lives in fear. And because he or they or she is doing this, they're also creating the energy that creates more chaos, more fear, more problems. Now, here's something that I noticed myself, okay? First time I went to a Buddhist temple, it was so peaceful. It was peaceful beyond anything I could imagine. There was no noise. It was just calm. And the thing about it is, though, is when I walked into the temple, the big, like we would call it like in church, like the area where everybody comes in mass, like 300-400 people, it was so peaceful, such clarity. I actually got scared and thought it was evil. I'm not kidding. And now It wasn't until later when I started experiencing the monks and also learning, to become calmer. I was actually working at clearing my mind and my heart and everything. And then once I got to that space where I had no thoughts, and a lot of people are like, there's something different about you. And they're like, your eyes, they don't move. I'm like, yeah, I'm not ping-ponging. I'm not thinking inside. So when a lot of people spend time with me, there's just this, they become very peaceful. Most people have this constant chatter inside their head. I don't have that. And I also don't have that in my heart. So when you walk into a temple, even if the monks are in their rooms and off to the back or the side or whatever, they're not even there. There's no chatter there, and you're thinking, well, yeah, because no. But even if they were there, there still would be no chatter. There would be no particles ping pong and bouncing off the walls. That's the difference between being around other people, being in other people's homes, or even churches. Is there's no thinking going on, and that's what you're feeling. There's like this sense of like there's no thinking. There's just clarity. There's just awareness. There's just being tuned in. And Western societies, man, we're not tuned in at all. So when we go into an environment that's actually tuned in, it is a different experience. And this is why Jesus was so peaceful. He had a sense of clarity and calm inside. There wasn't that thinking and chatter going on. So what am I really talking about? I'm talking about you. You can begin to meditate. You can learn deep breathing techniques. You can begin. There's a technique in this image right now that I'll teach in the course, and I'll teach you how to do it. You can learn how to become internal, which silences the mind. It silences the mind. It clears the heart. When I started getting really good at this to where I could go out in public and talk with someone, it was the most amazing experience, because you just like, okay, when most people are having a conversation, inside their brain, they're talking to themselves. They're thinking about what they're going to say next. And this is what I mean when I say learn how to receive someone's communication. The only way you can fully receive someone's communication is when you silence the mind completely and you open up by becoming internal. You literally receive what they're saying. So I'm going to tell you this. My experiences with women completely radically changed. I started to understand women in a way that in a million years I couldn't have understood. It's like everything, like the lights turned on. Like all of a sudden I was understanding what they were saying. It was everything, even just being around deer or animals, like they're calm. They sense your energy and they feel comfortable around you, so they don't run away. They actually interact with you. And this is me being the animal whisperer. Call me the animal whisperer. Hey, little squirrel. That little squirrel is my little pet pretty much, and that deer was born right there. I watched its birth, literally. Its mama that deer is not quite a year and a half old yet. Its mom is about 10 feet away in front of it. So essentially, narcissists, they tricked you to disconnect from your heart. They tricked you to disconnect from your emotions because they kept stinging your emotions. They kept hurting your emotions and shaming you and hurting you. And eventually it stung you so bad that you hid in your left brain. And that's why everything became dark. Like life was like you felt like you had no feelings or emotions, and you didn't enjoy life anymore. Like you didn't enjoy anything. Even the things that you used to enjoy, suddenly like you didn't want to go outside. You didn't want to interact with people. You didn't want to do the things because there was no emotions. There was no feeling. There was no joy. There was no color. There was no life. Number one, you are absolutely going through a healing process, okay? Now here's the deal. It's kind of like my mom. Like she didn't want to let go of the chaos because peace actually scared her. Having the bills paid, having everyone doing good in school, that everyone was sleeping well, everything was going fine, that literally terrified her. So I'm going to ask you to be brave. I'm going to ask you to step back into the light. I'm going to ask you to have enough faith to realize that you can be happy again, that feelings and emotions are actually really good. And let go of holding on to the fear and holding on to the anger. Because here's what happens. When you hold on to the fear, you are creating particles of fear. You're creating this energy that's going to vibrate into other people, just like the guitar strings, just like the particle universes away. They are going to instantly, just like the guy walking around the corner. The minute I went internal, boom, what happened was his energy went internal also, because when I let go of that push energy, like the trust thing where you put palms together and you put a pyramid up, your hands up in the air, and you put your legs out farther and farther. The minute I let go, his energy went internal, and instantly he connected with his happiness. So let go and start doing things that make you happy. Even if it's watching videos on YouTube, that's a start. My videos, other people's videos, start listening to music videos again. Listen to music that you enjoy. Start eating foods that you enjoy. Do anything that gets you back into happiness and pleasure, even if it's only all alone for 10 or 15 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour. You've just got to keep working this and going in that direction. Do anything that makes you happy, that makes you feel good. It's conditioning. You're rebuilding this. Trust me, it's exactly what I did for 2 years and a little bit more than that to get out of that dark tunnel. Guys, remember, I am a professionally trained personal development coach, emotional healer, NLP trainer, master practitioner in hypnosis. Master practitioner, timeline. I'm actually a master hypnotherapist. Sorry, I shouldn't say master practitioner. I'm a master hypnotherapist. Master practitioner of timeline therapy, Reiki, Huna, pranic healing. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm really, really good at this. I'm using actual techniques to help you shift. These are not techniques that they use in psychology, okay? This is a different world. This is a different way. I'm effective. I think you're going to be shocked, okay? I'm going to make a deal from this video because I'm actually putting my prices back up to $250 a session. My sessions generally last just under 2 hours to just about 2 hours, okay? So I don't do the hour session thing because it doesn't work. It has to do with your 90-minute circadian rhythm that you have, okay? One thing you got to understand about therapists and people like that, a lot of these people are just going to be giving you tips and what to do, and you shouldn't feel that way, or they're going to give you rules or stuff like that. What I'm going to be doing is, number one, neurologically rewiring your nervous system, okay? Number two, I'm going to be using energy to shift your energy. If people are not using these modalities, you're pretty much, in other words, I'm not going to be like a motivational coach. I mean, yeah, I'm a very motivational guy, but that's not what I'm relying on. I'm using actual tools to heal your energy, to heal your emotions, and to rewire and reconnect you from things that made you sad and reconnecting you to things that make you happy. Live by the sword, you die by the sword. Here's what this means. So if you're in that linear external push energy, well, you're going to draw people into that energy. It's going to cause a lot of chaos and combat and arguments and fights. If you become more internal, you will live and die by that, meaning you're going to live a much more peaceful, harmonious life of happiness and joy, colors, and just experiencing life in a much, much more meaningful and in-depth way. And you have to remember, when you're an internal being, when you're happy, when you have a more solid and grounded energy, people that are in the other energy, they basically are deflected by it. They don't want to be around it. It's foreign and odd to them. Okay, take my mom, for example. Like, she's used to chaos and anger and fighting and frustration. Whenever she would get around someone that was truly grounded and peaceful, she just kind of couldn't relate. She just didn't. It was the same thing when things were peaceful. She felt uncomfortable, so she would just kind of like find her way out and leave. In other words, if you learn how to do this, those people, they're not going to be comfortable around, especially narcissists. They don't like being around that energy. And on the other hand, as the narcissist tricked you into disconnecting from your heart, if you're sitting there clinging on to anger and defensiveness and all that, guess what? That's exactly what you're going to attract into your life. Live by the sword and you'll die by the sword. Choose happiness, choose love, because that's what you'll create. Those are the people that you'll draw into your life, and your particles will affect people and bring them into that. You get to choose your destiny. You get to choose your experiences by creating them with your thoughts, your energy, etc., etc. Hey, this is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Please click subscribe, click the like button, make a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Remember, our next training for this is December 2nd here in San Rafael, California. Go to my website at MikeKollin.com. God bless you guys. I'll see you in the next video, and I'll see you at the seminar. Bye.